Wario Land 4, the best Nintendo platformer ever made. But why do I say that? Well, to begin, I'd like to talk about Wario's origins within Nintendo. Wario made his debut in Super Mario Land 2 as a boss, but when making a sequel to the game, the R&D1 team didn't want to use Mario again, so they made a spin-off, Wario Land, Super Mario Land 3. This spin-off that was expected to flop sold 5 million copies on launch, and soon became a cult classic on the Game Boy, spawning 6 sequels in its future. But the 5th sequel, Wario Land 4, is where the series hits its peak. Wario Land 4 borrows its mechanics from other platformers. Wario can walk, jump, but it also derives mechanics from its previous titles. Wario has all his classic moves, the shoulder bash and ground pound, both used as an attack or as a means to break blocks. The crawl, a way for Wario to pass through small surfaces, a grab that can be later used as a throw, and the addition of some new moves, such as a headbutt that can be used to break more solid objects. But why is this important? It's because Wario at heart is a big stinky brute that uses his grotesque strength for his own benefits. And this is translated perfectly into gameplay. Watching Wario pummel through enemies to reach some treasure or ground pounding through floors for some extra coin is what Wario is all about. And you gain a sense of character from the beautifully done sprite work on this game. These moves also allow Wario to race across levels in ways the Mario Brothers never could. You see this shit? Luigi ain't doing this! Wario's core moveset goes against the standard made by his more well-known adversary's line of games. Wario isn't here to save a princess. He's here to get paid, and that's why he isn't gracefully traversing a grassy forest or a calm lake, but rather he's bashing through enemies on his way to the next piece of gold. Wario breaks the mold of standard Nintendo platformers and goes for a more power fantasy-driven style of gameplay. When faced with an enemy, Mario would simply stomp on it, or leave it alone. Wario, on the other hand, would curb stomp that little bitch and track down its family to teach them a lesson. But that's part of the fun. You aren't having a very calm experience trying to find a flagpole. You're trying to increase your net worth, all while sending some random enemy into next week. Wario isn't fast and nimble like Mario. He's slow and clunky, but powerful, and it shows. He's throwing enemies into walls and making the screen shake with every step, shoulder bash, or ground pound. And to further disconnect him from the Mario franchise, there are no power-ups, but rather the R&D team put their own Wario twist on it. Transformations. When interacting or being hit by an enemy, or even obstacles, Wario will transform into Flat Wario, Zombie Wario, Fatter Wario, or even fucking Vamp Wario. This is real. Nintendo made this. When transformed, Wario's gameplay will change drastically, from controls being removed or changed to speeding him up or making him fall slower. These abilities are usually necessary for finding hidden treasures or getting to another section of the level. Here, Wario must light himself on fire to be able to break the fire blocks and reach his treasure. So this simple task turns into a timed platformer challenge. Or here, where Wario has to turn into a bat and avoid lights to reach a door that leads to the next part of the level. These transformations aren't too bothersome, and they don't overstay their welcome. They're there long enough to get shit done, but not too long to where it feels like a hassle. These puzzles aspects even translates to Wario's moveset, where here, Wario has to use his ground pound to propel an enemy high enough so that he can turn himself into a spring so he can reach a secret part of the level for some extra coin. But once all is said and done, you step down on a little frog switch, and everything goes to hell. Wario yells, as you must now race back to where you came from, as the music distorts itself, making your gameplay get more worrisome as that dreaded timer ticks down until you made it. And now you're going to do that all over again. This distortion and sense of urgency is what Wario Land strives for. It makes things hectic. It can open up new passages or reveal some treasure. It's exhilarating and I love it. Something about the distortion of the music or the background getting all swirly is so frightening, and that timer isn't doing any favors. It all accumulates into a hectic mess that leaves the player thrilled. Once this sequence goes off, a short and sweet level can become a labyrinth filled with what seems to be endless possibilities, but the only way the game achieves this is through its brilliant sound design. Wario Land 4 is where the series finds its all but iconic funk sound Wario is known for. The chords in this game are phenomenal, even though they're just MIDI files, but what I find most impressive is Wario's voice. The R&D1 team clearly used distortion to its advantage. Usually games, especially today, try to make their characters sound as real as possible, but Wario Land outright avoids that. Wario has a set couple of voice lines used for certain situations. When laughing, the Wario Land team only recorded one ha and made the rest go deeper in pitch as the laugh goes on. Wario's voice will be manipulated in real time, sometimes adding stutter to his voice or distorting it at times, or it'll weirdly use voice lines when they shouldn't be used. When opening chest, Wario has a chance of letting out a hurtful groan, or when getting hurt, he'll let out a cheerful, "Oh yeah!" which tells you a lot about Wario's weird, distorted, disgusting mind. But besides that, I feel as if the Wario Land team was trying to tell the player Wario is a video game character. They were trying to spell it out for you. And that's what I love about this series. They roll with the absurdity of Wario. It will acknowledge how weird Wario is, but that adds to the fun, and it doesn't take away from it. Wario is supposed to break the mold. Hell, he doesn't even fit in it. That's what I love about him. He takes concepts introduced in the Mario games and flips them on their head. And a perfect example is how the music changes when escaping a level. Once the timer reaches 100 seconds in a Mario game, the music will speed up a bit, but Wario straight up distorts the music to creep the player out, making them scared, which adds this adrenaline-filled mess when trying to escape a level. At times, this distortion not only messes with the music, but it also messes with your head. Hearing Wario yell, "Hurry up!" scares you, and that funky rock music goes all creepypasta on you and puts you into a fight or flight. And it's exhilarating, and it can add so much to a level that wasn't there when the funky tunes were bumping. At times, level fundamentals will change after stepping on that switch. A new enemy will try to steal your key to the next level, or a new path will open up leading to a chest, or new doors will open, allowing for more but limited exploration. The maps in this game are so condensed, but that's an advantage more than anything else. During the development of Wario Land 4, the most popular GBA title was Tetris, which was played in small sessions at the time. That's what gained it its popularity. These small, bite-sized experiences is what led to Wario Land 4's condensed level design, most levels taking a few minutes at most. In previous games, levels were long and often drawn out. The only advantage this style of level design gives is a bigger map, which puts an emphasis on exploration and treasure hunting, which is a part of Wario's DNA, but it makes for a less interesting gameplay loop. I found myself playing one level of Wario Land 2 or 3 and feeling drained due to its larger, more explorative levels. This issue is completely void in Wario Land 4 because the game goes for a more bite-sized experience that Wario is more well known for nowadays. This condensation would seem like a disadvantage, but it complements Wario's moveset, seeing as Wario is at his fastest in this game. The shorter level allows for a bite-sized experience, even while exploring the whole level for treasure. This was done to deliberately compete with the GB's best-selling title at the time, Tetris, which reached this status due to anyone being able to pick it up and play for short sessions that wouldn't require too much of a person's time. Seeing this popularity, Nintendo strived to recreate that feeling by making shorter, more digestible levels that wouldn't require someone to dedicate their day or a few hours to enjoy this game. Wow, that says a lot about society today. Another benefit of the shorter levels is the spreading out of treasure. This game has a multitude of gems, coins, diamonds, CDs, and chests hidden throughout. In previous entries, the levels were more drawn out and tedious, especially in Wario Land 3, and at times the treasures spread out would be in a hard-to-find locations or places that don't make much sense. Fortunately, this issue is absent in Wario Land 4. The shorter, more bite-sized levels allow the treasure and secrets to be more readily available, allowing for a more natural feel when it comes to collecting your prizes, which helps out a lot considering they unlock the main boss for that section. Speaking of bosses, Wario Land 4 has a total of 6 bosses: Spoiled Rotten, Cractus, Cuckoo Condor, Air Rodent, Catbat, and finally Golden Diva. These bosses are made very well and cater to Wario's moves and make the player think out of the box a little. For example, when fighting Air Rodent, after tipping them over, you must shoulder bash them to hurt them. For most players, they'll be lucky to get one hit in, if not two. But after a while, you realize that if you tap your jump button and not hold it, you're able to get multiple hits until you hit his floating bear, to which he floats to the top of the screen. Or in fighting Cractus, you're able to wait for his invulnerability to wear out, to which you would now have a chance to land a frame-perfect ground pound, or multiple, to easily beat him. In fact, most of the bosses have these kind of exploits, except for a few, but I think this wasn't a mistake, but rather a test to see if the player was smart enough to figure these tricks out. After all, Nintendo did program the infinite lives trick into the first Mario Bros. These bosses, when not exploited, are a very good test to see what the player has learned throughout their playthrough and make you think on your feet, which is a good evolution of the faster style of gameplay established in this era of Wario. I find all of these bosses very enjoyable, and they all fit with the passage they are in, seeing as all the passages have a set theme. Before every fight, you have a chance to buy some assists from the shop owner, who looks a lot like Mr. Game & Watch's Waluigi. And these assists really dumb down the fighting in this game, which I don't really like, so I don't use them often, but I could see why they're there, especially if you're struggling with a boss. During the fight, Wario must adjust to the boss's gimmicks, which could vary from waves propelling you higher or gas being deployed that turns you into a zombie. But most of these gimmicks are easy to adjust to. After each boss, Wario receives 3 chests, assuming he complied with the time limit. These chests are carried on to the final fight, where all 12 chests are lost as a punishment for not complying with the final boss's time limit. And if you complete it in time, you receive all of the chests as your prize for playing the boss perfectly. And you finally get the best ending, where Wario is rewarded all of the treasure found and a kiss from Shokora. But if you don't get all the chests, then you get the worst ending, where Wario receives nothing but a kiss from the princess, except this time a form that more closely resembles Wario himself. Overall, Wario Land 4 is a very pleasing and enjoyable game that I believe is the Game Boy Advance's best title, especially as a launch title. This game is where modern Wario got his start. It was the start of his weird and sometimes disgusting nature and set the stage for WarioWare to be the success it is, with its multiple micro games, which are Wario Roulette, Wario's Home Run Derby, and Wario Hop. These games are fun and really accessible and are a nice way to pass the time. You really can feel the early WarioWare from these games, which still ties into who he is today, because WarioWare is where Smash derives their Wario from. And Smash is where most people know Wario from, especially. But besides that, I really would recommend Wario Land to anybody who may be tired of modern Mario and his conformative nature. I rate Wario Land 4 6 Scarlets out of 5, the best in the West. Thank you for watching this so far 12.5 minute to like 13-minute long video. I worked really hard on this. I've been wanting to make YouTube content for a really long time. I have a TikTok, which is at Hispanic Panic, if you'd like to go follow that. I make more Apex Legends kind of content, if you know what that game is. It's a battle royale game. That's besides the point, though. This is my first time ever making YouTube content of any sort, and I find it really enjoyable, and I would really like to, make more videos like this in the future. And if you would like to see those videos and motivate me to make those videos, I would highly suggest liking this video if you enjoyed, disliking it if you didn't, and subscribing if you really like who I am as a person. Besides that, that is going to be all for this video. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.